Welcome to Experiments in Happiness with Michelle Lemus, the podcast for high achieving women who've checked all the boxes but still feel something's missing.
Nothing is obviously wrong. From the outside, things look fine, maybe even impressive. You did what you set out to do. You followed through. You built a life that once felt aligned, earned, and meaningful. You worked hard for this version of your life. You made sacrifices. You stayed disciplined when it would have been easier not to. At one point, this life felt like the answer, and yet something feels off. Not in a dramatic way, not in a burn it all down way, not in a way that gives you a clean explanation or an easy fix. Just a quiet, persistent sense that the life you worked so hard to create no longer fits the person you're becoming. And that is one of the most confusing places to land because when success outgrows you, there's no obvious problem to solve. You're not failing. You're not ungrateful. You're not lost. There's no emergency demanding action, no clear mistake you can correct, no single decision you can point to and say, that's it. You're just standing in the middle of a shift you can feel internally, but can't yet map externally. And without a roadmap, that can feel deeply unsettling, especially if you're someone who has always known how to move forward. The tools that got you here were reliable. You knew how to set goals. You knew how to push through discomfort. You knew how to stay committed even when things felt hard. Those tools built something real. They earned you respect, stability, momentum. But here's the part no one really prepares you for. The tools that help you build a life don't always help you listen to it. And when the internal landscape starts to shift, relying on drive alone can keep you moving past the very information you need. Because you're good at adapting, good at making things work, good at being capable, good at telling yourself, this is fine. This is just what adulthood feels like. So you keep going. And the misalignment stays quiet, but present. We're taught to think of growth as upward, more responsibility, more reach, more achievement, more. So when something starts to feel heavy instead of energizing, confusing instead of motivating, our instinct is to override it. We tell ourselves we should be more grateful, more appreciative, more satisfied with what we've built. But growth isn't always expansion. Sometimes growth is refinement. Sometimes it looks like less urgency, more discernment, a deeper connection to what actually matters now, not what mattered to you 5 or 10 years ago. When success starts to feel heavy, it's often because your values have shifted quietly, gradually, and your life hasn't caught up yet. That mismatch creates tension, not loud tension, subtle tension, the kind that shows up as restlessness you can't explain, as boredom with things you used to care deeply about, as irritation with routines that once felt stabilizing, as a vague sadness that doesn't have a clear cause. You might notice yourself thinking, this should feel better than it does. I don't know what I want anymore. Why does this feel like too much now? Those thoughts don't mean you're regressing. They mean you're paying attention. But awareness without language can feel disorienting because you can't point to a single thing and say that's the problem. Everything technically works. So you keep maintaining it. You keep showing up as the version of yourself everyone recognizes. You keep performing competence. And underneath that, there's a growing sense that you're wearing a life built for a previous chapter, a life that still fits, but not comfortably. Too tight in some places, too heavy in others. This is usually the moment when women start to second guess themselves. Am I just restless? Am I self sabotaging? Am I expecting too much? But here's something important: outgrowing success doesn't mean you wasted your time, it means you learned. It means the version of you who built this life did exactly what she needed to do. She got you here. And now there's a new version of you emerging, one with different priorities, different needs, a different definition of fulfillment that doesn't erase what came before. It builds on it. You don't have to abandon everything. You don't have to reject your past. You don't have to burn down what you built to evolve beyond it. You're allowed to honor it and still want something different. You can keep what fits, release what doesn't, redefine success without rejecting who you've been. This isn't about starting over, it's about starting from here. And that distinction matters because starting over implies failure. Starting from here implies growth. Many people never pause long enough to question whether the life they're maintaining still fits. They just keep going. They stay busy, they stay productive, they stay outwardly successful, and slowly they drift further away from themselves. Noticing that something no longer fits is not a sign you're behind. It's a sign you're ahead of the shift. You're catching the misalignment early before it turns into burnout, resentment, or numbness. So instead of trying to solve this moment, what if you let it be what it is? A threshold, not a crisis, not a failure, a transition. Thresholds aren't meant to be sprinted through. They're meant to be crossed slowly, with awareness, with honesty, with respect for the version of you who got here, and compassion for the version of you who's trying to emerge. You don't need to rush clarity. You don't need to make big decisions today. You just need to listen. Because when success starts to outgrow you, it's not asking you to do more, it's asking you to do differently, to choose depth over momentum, alignment over habit, presence over performance. You're not stuck. You're not failing. You're not ungrateful. You're growing, and you're allowed to take your time becoming who comes next.
Thanks for listening to Experiments in Happiness. You can find more tools and resources at experimentsinhappiness.com.